And welcome to Let's Fly VFR, and this is another one in our series of Pilot Operating Handbook emergency procedure videos that I'm certainly enjoying having time building for you and making for you. Today we're going to look at engine failures, so get your coffee, get strapped in, and let's see whether we make it or not. I'll catch you in a moment. Well everyone, let's have a look at engine failures today. I'm going to look at three scenarios. I'm going to look at a failure on takeoff, or just as we're rotating. I guess it's probably the most crucial time for us as pilots. And then at 500 feet, there seems to be a line in the air, shall we say, at about 600. Anything 600 feet and below, it is always recommended you just land directly ahead. But we're going to be naughty. We're going to get to about 550 or so, because I can preset it. So I'm going to preset it for about that. Again, I haven't practiced any of this, guys, so I think it's better that way. We already have a heads up because we know it's going to happen. And as pilots, we should expect it to, but we don't, do we? We're always going, no, it'll happen to somebody else. So let's have a look at the Pilot Operating Handbook quickly. I've got that here in front of me, and just look at a couple of quick things before we actually do the first scenario. So landing without engine power, we're going to have no engine power, so we have the flaps up. We should be looking at 70 knots, and wing flaps down 65 knots. So the normal configuration I fly with, and is recommended, it seems, is normally with no flaps, but 10% or 10 degrees of flap is perfectly okay, depending on your load. Maybe if you've got 4 people on board and need a bit more lift. So we're going to do at that. Now the next part is, let's have a look at engine failures. Engine failure during takeoff. Roll. 1. Throttle to idle. 2. Brakes apply. 3. Wing flaps retract if they're out. 4. Mixture idle cutoff. 5. Ignition switch off. And 6. Master switch off. But that's only if you're on the roll. We're going to do this as we take off. So I've hit it at set the failure to happen at about 72 knots. So we should be just off the ground when that happens. So my thoughts are we're going to crash. That's what I think will happen, because even with this long runway we have here at Gawler, I don't think we'll have enough time to put it back down on the ground and get stopped. But brake check, we'll see how we go there. Okay, immediately after failure, engine failure immediately after takeoff. I'm just reading this straight from the PDF, guys, that I've got. Okay, airspeed 70 knots, flaps up. Airspeed 65 knots, flaps down. So we'll be up. So we're looking at 70. Mixture idle cutoff, fuel shut off, pull, ignition switch off, wings flaps as required, master switch off, cabin door unlatch. That's so it doesn't get jammed on you if you hit the ground hard, and land straight ahead. So we're going to go with 0.1, and then we'll have another go once we've got a bit of altitude, and also then we'll try a little higher up, which shouldn't be too much of an issue, maybe about 800 feet or something like that. So are you ready? Are you strapped in? Let's get ready. So let's just check everything's working. Rudders are working, brakes definitely working. Now we have, as you can notice, we have a little bit of a headwind. We have about 16 knots. And that is also a very crucial thing when it comes to making the turn. If you decide to turn back, because we're going to immediately lose that 16 knots from whatever speed we're at. So I think most people, and me flying here at Gawler, now I've looked at speeds but probably not considered this. So I think this is a really, really good training exercise for myself, if nothing else. So let's give it a go. Are you ready? Brakes are off. Powering up slowly. We'll try and stay on the takeoff strips that we have here at sunny Gawler. A bit more right rudder. Trying to keep on there, because we'll accelerate quicker if we do it on here. 60 knots. Pulling up. Climbing away. And there she goes. So nose down. And What's that? And actually, that wasn't too bad, was it? But boy, it happens quickly, doesn't it? And when you lose the engine, you just got to get your nose down. All important is push your nose forward without driving yourself into the ground. Okay, let's go for a reset, and we'll set it up for about 500 feet. Well, welcome back, guys, and now it's our scenario 2. Quite surprised that we survived the first one. Okay, so this one requires, again, just quickly, I'll go over the procedures. We didn't have time to do any turning off on the last one, but okay, immediately after takeoff, mixture. So we need to have the mixture go back to idle cutoff, so we're going to pull that out. We've got fuel shutoff valve, which I think is down the bottom, so it's very hard to do that in the sim, so we probably have to forego that. Ignition switches and everything, we turn all those off. Cabin doors, we look to open those if we can at all. Again, that might be a little difficult in the sim to quickly get down there. If we were in VR or I had the head tracking on, we'd probably be able to do that, but I'm going to leave that alone. There's just another complication at the moment. So, are you ready? Get ready to crash. Let's see what happens. So we've got this one set up. The scenario is we're taking off, we're climbing out quite happily. Remembering again, we have quite a bit of a headwind, so I'm going to try and turn around and land back, which you should never do. But everyone goes, oh yeah, I can probably do it, it'll probably be okay. So let's take the headspace of someone who thinks they need to come back. Okay, people make that mistake, I think fairly regularly or somewhat regularly, so just the pressure of the situation. And I'm going to put a couple of videos in here for you of actual engine failures. There's a really good one that I'm going to put towards the end of the video for you. Have a look at that one as well. A young guy taking off, and yeah, he's pretty scared. There's a lot of heavy breathing going on, but he makes it back and he does the right thing. He does not return, which is really good. So let's see how we go. Brakes on, rudders are working, controls are working. So let's power it up and let's see how we go. So we set it about 550 feet or something. It should fail on us. It fails very quickly, doesn't it? So let's get the idle running. Here we are, powering up. He's off on the rudder as we go. Find that balance. Lots of right rudder in. So the big thing will be the speed. If we turn around and we have that 16 knots already, we're going to lose speed really quickly, and I think that will be the end of us. Oh, a little late. Too busy talking. Let's get our climb happening. My sim performance has gone right down the tubes. I don't know what's going on at the moment. I'm sitting about 18 frames per second. I would normally be having 40 or 50. Something's not well. Okay, here we go. We're climbing up. Everything's good. Engines are all showing in the green. Fuel's quite low. Maybe we have a low fuel is the reason we're going to crash, if that's the case. Oh, there we go. So nose down, maintain our speed. We have a nice big highway to land on, but we're going to be dumb and we're not going to do that. We're going to turn our power off. Okay, we're going to go out there, coming around, maintaining our 70 odd knots. Now we'll see what happens with the wind as we go around. So we're now coming in with a tailwind. And we're maintaining it, so we're not doing too badly. I expected a lot more trouble. Maybe real world, different. Now this area here to the left is where they land all the gliders, so let's bring that around and put it on the ground then. Let's get it down. We have to brake real hard before we hit some fences, but there we are. Oh, okay, well that rated as a crash. There we go. That wasn't very good. Oh, Not good at all. Okay, new flight. We we ended up in a big mess, didn't we? So I'm going to do that one more time though. So let's come with me, and I'll do the settings. So into the main menu, flight configuration. Here we are. We're going to customize here. Hit the failures, engines, engine failures. So here we got engine fail. So you have a whole options of things if you want to practice this yourself. So exact speed, which is what I used in the very first one. Fail at altitude. So let's put in 525 feet AGL. Okay, that's done. Apply changes, and here we are back again. And now we're ready to go. So throttle's working. I've been having a little bit of gear trouble, so everything's working there. That's good. Let's go there, do that, and let's try again. So again, we're going to try and come back. Now what I want to try this time is I'm going to go up. I'm going to try and go around and come back and come down 1331. Okay, that means I'm not doing I'm doing more than a 180 there. So let's see what that happens. That's my plan. Okay, because otherwise the ideal thing, and what you would do, is land on the highway, which is running a little bit left to right out the front there, and that would be depending on traffic and trucks, that would be a bit more of a walk in the park, I suspect. So let's go again. Power coming up, right rudder in. Okay, there we go. Lots more right rudder. Takeoffs are getting a little better today. 60 knots, rotating and climbing. Climbing at 70 knots. The pilot operating handbook says 68, I think is the best. So it must vary between aircraft, because the other aircraft that I've seen on the other videos, Mr. Aviation 101, his is always 76, I think. So that may change. Okay, here we go. 70 knots. And there we go. Engine fail. Nose down. Nose down. First and foremost, airspeed. Trim for the speed. Turn. Remain coordinated. So I'm trying to do the best possible turn at 70 knots. Let's have a look at where we're going. Okay, there's the runway. We're too close to make that. I'm going to go maintain a gentle turn. Now, where you can die, and I'm hit 60 knots now, so I'm already on the stall. That's a bad place to be. And remember, your angle of attack will control your stall speed as well. Okay, so we're able to come back, and we need to do a little turn here before we get back. We want to come back just to the airfield. We don't care about the runway. This is all nice glider landing area anyway. Okay, let's get level. Let's get level. And brakes on. And lots of left rudder. And we hit the boundary fence. Bop, bop, bop. Okay, the highway is not actually that close, and I think we might have stopped on the barriers. Well, we made it down. The end result of that is, well, I'll leave it up to you with what you want to call that one. We made it back in the ground safely, but obviously it's not the ideal way to do it. What we should do is this. Okay, so we've had 2 attempts, and obviously both of them have been pretty, they've both been pretty much failures, haven't they? So what we need to do is we need to land straight ahead. So I'm going to do one of those. So I don't want anybody to come and say, you're an idiot, you should be just landing straight ahead. It's nice to talk about the what ifs, I think, and what can happen. So we're going to go for an altitude again. Let's go for 500 AGL. Remember, that's going to be 650 or so indicated, because we're at 165 feet above sea level. So let's give it a go. Okay, we'll try and make this one right. really anything beyond this only gets easier. So from 550 feet, if we land straight ahead, we should come down for the most part reasonably safely. And we'll have a bit more time to carry out some of the immediate things that we're supposed to do, which I failed to do again in the last one, and that's the turning off of the switches and getting everything ready to land. So let's give it another go. And this time we're going to start with everything as we were. Everything's good, rudders are working, controls are working, fuel pumps on, let's turn it off anyway, and ready to go, and fuel. And maybe the issue here that we're getting is that our fuel is just about zero, so we're running out of fuel, I think is what the system is doing for us. So let's go again, and let's land on the highway. Let's do it right. We'll make our very best attempt to do it right. Right one way, right rudder, more right rudder, easing off the rudder, just balancing there, trying to keep central. Our speeds alive, 50, 55 and 60 knots, rotating, climbing at 70, trimming for 70. The joy of a force feedback joystick, guys. There might be some really nice ones, really nice joysticks out there, but this one's not the most fantastic, but the forced feedback feature is something I really love. I think it's just gives you that little bit extra of realism. So we're climbing up, all going well, checking the pattern, and there we go, nose down immediately, maintain airspeed regardless. This is Australia, so we need to land, I would suspect, on the left hand side, because the traffic is going that way. We don't want to land into traffic, and fortunately there's not too many big lights there, so let's pull that out, let's get that away, let's turn our switches off, keep an eye outside, don't get too caught inside. There we go. So power's off, that's off. Let's get lined up again. Okay, I'm doing too much looking inside. Okay, we have some poles to deal with. That's going to be an issue. So the field here is where we're going to go. And there's lots of fields here. This is at the back of the Edinburgh Air Force Base, part of their land. Holding those up, 60 knots, keeping it straight, hoping we don't find any big lumps in the ground. And we're holding it on the stall. And there we go. We've made it relatively safely. Brakes are on. And we've made it safely, guys. So that's sort of, at least, what you should do. Don't turn around, don't go back. Find somewhere nice and neat and easy, straight ahead, relatively clear, and put yourself down there safely and live to fly another day. Thanks for spending a few minutes with me here on Let's Fly VFR. If you're a first-time visitor here at Let's Fly VFR, welcome. And feel free to check out all the other videos we have here. We have starting a bit of a series here on these pilot operating handbooks and emergencies. And if you've returned for another dose, I appreciate your support. Have a really great day.